talk is about how to figure out what you want to do in life. So I think that's a big question, like what are you going to do with your life, the rest of your life? And we're going to start back in 1995 when I graduated from high school. I graduated high school in 1995. I remember my friends telling me, well, what college are you going to go to? What university are you going to go to? And I had no clue where I was going to go to. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go to. They said, what is your SAT score? And I said, I don't know because I didn't take my SATs because I don't have any big plans of what I'm going to do afterward. I'm just lucky to graduate from high school. And I remember them asking me questions about the future, and I had no answers for them. So I thought about this, and I said to myself, well, what are you most passionate about? What are you most passionate about? The only thing I could think about was I liked working with kids. And I said, you know what, I want to work with kids. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm most passionate about. And the only thing that I could think about with working with kids was to become a teacher. But every time I thought about becoming a teacher, it made me fearful. I thought, man, that's a long road. That's 4 or 5 years of education. I have to get my credentials. I can't do that. That's way too much for me. I barely graduated from high school. How can I become a teacher? So, my first point I would leave with you guys is if you're on your road to figuring out what you want to do with your life, go after something in your passion, something that you're passionate about. And the thing that you should be doing is the thing that you're most fearful about. So say, for instance, you like clothing, you say, I want to be a fashion designer. Every time you think about being a fashion designer, it kind of brings fear into your heart. Or I'm good with cars, I'm going to be a mechanic, but then you can't see yourself going down that road because it's just a long road. Or I want to be a doctor, but then every time you think about being a doctor, that's like 8 years of school, and you're like, man, I can never do that. That's not for me. That's probably what you should be doing. And again, my passion was kids. And my first job out of high school was working at Mervyn's department store. And out of all the departments at Mervyn's, I worked in the children's department. They hired me for the children's department. That was my first job out of high school. And I did this for 6 months, but this is not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to work in a department store for the rest of my life. And so I got a phone call from my friends saying, hey, you know what, they're hiring at this school. They're hiring, they need a playground supervision person. And so I called the principal at the school, and I got an interview, and the principal hired me on the spot. And they hired me at a school called Salem Lutheran Elementary School. And I started off being a playground supervising aide, and I did recess and lunch duties. And then I found out that they have an after-school program, and I got a chance to do after-school daycare. And then two weeks into my job, the PE teacher quits. The PE teacher quits, and there's a PE teaching position open. And I remember walking into the office of the principal saying, you know what, I would like this job. And the principal hired me for a PE teacher position. And so now I'm the PE teacher. I work playground supervision, and I work after-school daycare. It's in my passion. It's something that I want to do, and I do that for 2 years. But I couldn't grow anymore. I could not grow anymore. I couldn't become a teacher because I didn't have my credentials at the school, and I couldn't become anything else more than what I was doing there. So my second point I want to leave with you guys is, on your road to be figuring out what you want to do in your life, when you reach the point where you can't grow anymore, recognize that and understand it's time for you to leave. And at Mervyn's, I could only grow so far at Mervyn's department store, and I recognized that, and I left. And at this place, this Lutheran school, I could only go so far at this school, and then I couldn't grow anymore, so it's time for me to go. And so I got a job at a place called Holly Grove. And this was a group home for kids who've been abused sexually and physically and who've been neglected. And I worked in a cottage with kids who were from the ages of 4 to 7 years old. And I remember this clearly. My first day on the job, there was a circle and the social worker's talking to the kids. And one of the kids stands up and goes over and punches another kid right in the face. Bam, and then goes back to his seat. Like, no problem. And I'm looking around like, oh my God, is anybody going to say anything about this? And nobody said anything. The social worker kept on writing, saying, hey, Billy, can you please stop doing that? And he kept on going, and everybody acted as if this was normal, which shocked the heck out of me. And that's kind of like what I was dealing with at this home. These kids were hurting kids. But I learned how to manage the most difficult kids. The most difficult kids, the most hurting, difficult kids. I learned how to talk to them, how to listen to them, how to interact with them. I learned how to manage their behavior. But something else started to happen. I started to grow real cold. For me, that was my breaking point. I told myself, you know, I'm not growing anymore. I'm growing cold at this place. I can't be here anymore. It's time for me to go. And I got a job working with kids with autism. And they assigned me to a kid named Nick. And Nick had this reputation of being ridiculous. And I was like, all right. So I'd have to sit behind Nick or next to Nick and help him manage his behavior. And at first it was one of the most difficult jobs I ever had. This kid was ridiculous, shouting out, just ridiculous. But I learned to manage Nick. And I learned to work with him and talk to him and figure Nick out. He started doing his work. He started doing a lot of good things. While working with Nick in the schools, I got a chance to see other teachers teach. I saw how good teachers taught and how bad teachers taught. And I said to myself, now I think I'm ready to become a teacher. I think I'm ready now. And so I remember getting a newspaper, and I saw an ad in the newspaper saying a Catholic school teacher, no credentials required, just you need your bachelor's degree. And I said, great, that's the job for me. And so I applied, I got an interview to this place. It was called St. Thomas the Apostle. And the first thing that they asked me was if I was a practicing Catholic. And my answer to that was, no, I'm not a practicing Catholic. I was baptized Catholic, but I don't practice. I'm not a practicing Catholic. And the thing that saved me, the thing that got me this job, was my experiences. And my third point I want to leave with you is, you want to use your experiences, both good and bad, whether you think your experiences are good or you think your experience is bad, and use them to leverage whatever you can to get the job that you want. They asked me, they said, are you a practicing Catholic? I said, no, but I have a lot of experience. They said, explain. They said, I said, I worked at a children's department at Mervyn's, but that's not what I wanted to do. And I got a chance to work at a Lutheran school where I was the playground supervisor, I was a PE teacher, I worked at an after-school daycare there. And after that, I worked at a group home for kids who've been abused and neglected. And not only that, I worked with kids with autism. So all of these experiences are the reasons why I believe I could be a first grade teacher at your school. And they hired me. They hired me as a first grade teacher. I became a first grade teacher. It was a great experience. I worked there for 6 years. I learned a whole lot about being a teacher there. And I remember my 6th year there, I learned a lot about gossip. Because on my 6th year there, our principal he retired and a new principal came in. So I recognized that this place is no longer a place for me. I can't grow at this place. All I'm doing is gossiping about this principal. So I told my principal in April, before the school year ended, that I'm no longer going to be at this school anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else. Now the good thing was, during those 6 years of me teaching at that school, I earned a master's degree. I earned a couple master's degrees, and I earned my teaching credentials. So 6 years I taught, but I was working. I was working to get my degrees and my credentials. So I said I'm leaving. It's time for me to go. And I applied to different school districts, and I got hired with LAUSD. I worked at a school called Gratz Elementary School, but something happened at Gratz Elementary School. They had low enrollment, and they had to fire 3 teachers. They had to let go of 3 teachers, and I was one of the teachers they had to let go of because I had low seniority. It was the first time going in with LAUSD. And they let me go. They said, thank you for working with us, but we're going to have to let you go. You're going to find another school within LAUSD. I was like, okay, I'll find it. So I worked at another school called West Hollywood Elementary School. Great place to work at. But they were having budget cuts. And they were firing young teachers. All the teachers there who only had low seniority, they were firing them. And I was one of those teachers. And I remember getting a letter in my mailbox saying, you know, we will no longer need your services anymore. Thank you for being a teacher at LAUSD, but you know, we'll no longer need your services. And I got that letter, and I couldn't believe it. It was like shocking for me. It was like, wow, I can't believe this. I got my master's degrees, I got my credentials. Education is supposed to save me. Why am I getting fired? I can't believe that. And the year came, I thought I was going to be saved, and the year ended, and I was done. I was done. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to apply to all kinds of different schools that summer, and I'm going to get hired, because I always get hired. How could they not hire me? So I applied to a bunch of different schools, and I didn't get hired at all. And so the new school year started, and I didn't have a job. The only job I had was a substitute teacher with LAUSD. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. And I'm going to say that for a good month to 2 months, I was just depressed. Depressed. I could not believe it. Just depressed. I was collecting unemployment at the time. I had to go through a bankruptcy at the time. It was a terrible moment in my life. But I had to pick myself up. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay in this dark hole. And I remember making resumes. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to pick myself up and continue. I remember making resumes and going to different schools and saying, you know what, how you doing? My name is John Vergara. I'm a great substitute teacher. Here's my resume. If you need me, give me a call. I'm here for you. And I go to like 5 different schools every day and drop off resume after resume after resume. And I go to 5 different schools the next day and do the same thing. And then I started getting a flood of calls from all kinds of people saying, hey, come to our school, we want you to substitute. Come to our school, we want you to substitute. And I remember going to the school, and I remember like it took me a long time to accept that I was a substitute teacher. Like I'd go to a school and people would totally ignore me. They'd be like, oh, here's your keys, your classroom's over there. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to being the teacher. I'm the teacher. I got my degrees. No, you're not the teacher. You're the substitute teacher. Why don't you go down to the classroom and go open it up and do your thing, and then leave, drop off the keys when you're done. And so that was hard for me to understand. It was a humbling experience, really humbling experience. The times that I wasn't substituting, I was writing. I remember, and I'd write about like why I wanted to be a teacher, and what were the most important things about teaching, and all the books I read. What are the best things about leadership that I could use, and do I want to be a teacher anymore? And what happened was I was developing this new life mission for myself, and this new life mission that I developed was to spread the idea to other people to stubbornly pursue their dreams. And so I developed the idea that, you know what, your new life mission is to tell other people to go pursue their dreams. So when you're teaching in a classroom, you tell those kids, you know what, you could be whatever you want to be, pursue your dreams. And you get opportunities to talk to other people, and you tell them to pursue their dreams. And so the next point I want to leave with you guys is that life is uncertain, and the only certain thing that you have in life is how you react to your uncertainty. See, with me, I lost all my job, things were crazy, and that was uncertain. The only thing that I could do was act appropriately to that situation. Go out and put resumes. Keep fighting, keep writing, keep on thinking that I'm gonna be successful. And that's what happened. And so a year passed, and I got a call from LAUSD. And LAUSD said, you know what, we want to rehire you again. We want you back. We want you back. And they rehired me at a school called John Lathrop Middle School, which is a school that I work at now. And I've been working there for 4 years now, since the time I got fired or let go. And at that place at John Lathrop Middle School, you know, I'm continuously growing there. I'm on all kinds of different committees, trying to grow myself and become a better teacher, better everything. Everything about me needs to be better. So that's currently what I'm doing now. And the last point I will leave with you guys is always plant seeds for the future. Always plant seeds for the future. You're at this job, you're at this position in your life, always have other things working for you so that if this doesn't work out, you can step over here and be perfectly fine because you have other things working for you. And that's what I did with my life. And right now as I'm teaching, I'm actually a student here at Cal State LA. I'm in the administration program because I want to be a principal. And so I am in that program right now, and I am creating a business, and I'm teaching currently. So if this teaching business doesn't work out for me and I get fired again or they let me go for some reason, I have other things working for me. I'm planting seeds for the future. Okay? So 5 things I want to leave with you guys, just so you remember. One is find your passion. Find your passion, the thing that you're most passionate about, and then find a job within your passion. And that thing that you want to do within your passion, when you think about it, you're like, man, that's impossible. How am I supposed to do that? That's probably what you should be doing. Okay? Know when to leave a job. Know when to leave a job. When you've learned all that you can and you can't grow anymore, know when to leave and don't be there too long. Okay? Use every experience that you have in your life, whether good or bad at the time, you think, oh, it's a good experience or a bad experience, use it for your benefit. Use it for your benefit. And life is uncertain. And the only thing that's certain is how you react to the uncertainty in life. And the 5th one is always plant seeds for the future so that you have other things going on for you. So that if something happens, you got other stuff happening for you. And you can move further in that area. Okay? So those are 5 things I wanted to talk to you guys about. Thank you guys for